Hi, this is Julie with Stereophile, and we are here with Duncan Taylor of YG Acoustics, and we're going to walk through a system that's got quite a lot going on. Both very vintage technology and very state-of-the-art.
Right.
Let's, should we start with the speakers, since you're with YG Acoustics?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're no small thing in this room.
Yeah, they're massive towers and 12 pieces in all, right?
Yes.
And we've got the this
Six
is the
per side.
Yeah. And this is the XV model, right? Yeah.
The XV model, right? And actually, this is a special edition of XV3. XV was originally designed on the 15th anniversary of our company, so that's the
XV.
X and the V, indeed. When we came and our new R&D team came and redesigned the reference series, we learned a lot of things, and we developed some proprietary components, and some of those led us to Signature, which was really an effort in precision and refinement of even our top of the line already. So this is the biggest and best thing we make, but you can always tell by the gold logos at the bottom of this is the numbered pair, one of 8 pairs that we'll ever make in the world.
Wow, okay.
And the process takes 2 months, and these are actually built by our R&D team, not in our Denver facility where we normally manufacture everything. These are done in Cambridge, and they're labored over to get the precision to 2 decimal points more precise for every component inside the crossover. Essentially 100 times more accuracy. Everything completely tuned for the individual set of speakers to achieve the closest to perfection that we possibly can.
Yeah, and these are sealed cabinets.
Yes, always sealed with IG, yes.
And we talked about how they are remarkably efficient. Like they don't necessarily look at a glance like they would be. And
these look like a load.
And they're fairly stable.
They're our easiest speaker to drive.
And we can talk about the amplification too. But I wanted to touch on the tweeter, the special lattice technology.
We're very proud of that innovation. Earlier, YG innovated the airframe silk dome connection, extending the frequency response. When our R&D team came in, they saw lots of opportunity for improvement of that. And everything we do looks simple, and then behind it actually is a lot of complex engineering, lots of computational power, lots of thought time and prototypes and listening. But essentially, we broadened the pistonic area, and we made things a lot more random to randomized resonances, and we really improved this concept where you're extending the frequency response, but you're containing or retaining the damping characteristics of silk that everybody loves. You know, a lot of second order kind of thing.
But to have that greater power and precision and dispersion capabilities as well, as I understand, right?
And we'll talk a lot about these go up to 45 kilohertz, and they're very well behaved from 20 to 45. And okay, no, we're not bats here. We're not listening to 45 kilohertz. What that tells you is that what you can hear is actually much more linear, and it behaves much, much better when you have very good behavior all the way up to 45. So that indicates what we're trying to do. The general YG concept of what makes YG special beyond everything matters, which we are one of those companies, it's the phase alignment interdriver in the crossover. It's making sure there's never a moment where drivers are working against each other. We see in a lot of R&D and testing, and we'll look at competition all over the world and look at their circuits, and just about nobody's doing what we're trying to do, which is make a single point source of sound from a multi-way, from a 4-way, a 3-way. And it's remarkable when we can really achieve it. In a room like this, we actually got 2 setup days at this show, which allowed us to really dial it in. So it's been remarkable.
Yeah, and they're, as we mentioned, remarkably efficient also. So we have some unexpectedly relatively low power SET.
So they're not clipped horns, but they're 87 at 4, but it never goes below 3.2. And so really, we can try things like
the 300B, the low power SET.
Absolutely,
from Western Electric.
So enter Western Electric. Let's talk about that for a second.
Right, and 8 and 8 in parallel each, and then these are. The driving, yes, this one unit driving this unit, and then the other amp driving the rest.
What's wild is that you would think that one of these goes per tower, but actually no. One amp is devoted to the top main module, which is the MTM. And that actually covers most of the spectrum. You know, really from 300-400 hertz all the way up. That's what's doing most of the information. Everything, of course, works in concert, but the amps doing the bass actually have a little bit lighter load. But yeah, so you know, these put out maybe 80, 85 watts a channel. These are the 97A model from Western Electric. Of course, Western Electric came back on the scene. The first product was the 300B tube, and they impressed everybody so much that now that's kind of the standard. That's the one you want, right?
Yeah.
So these have
Very
8 per channel, and we're using 4 of them, and it's just lovely.
Yes. Well, and I'm curious why you decided to use, I mean, other than the efficiency of these speakers, relatively speaking, but why tube amps with, I don't think I've seen that before with YG.
I would love to talk about that.
All right.
So we have new distribution in the U.S. It's a company called Supreme Acoustic Systems, as you can see from the banner. Supreme is partnering with Western Electric as well. They've got a number of great partners. And I think that the surprise that you have seeing tubes is something that we want other people to share in, just to show our new designs and the new Reference 3 series is that much easier to drive. You know, one of our main priorities with our new circuits and our new crossovers is reduction of energy loss inside the crossover, making a little bit easier electronic slopes and loads for the amplifier. Really, you want to make speakers that show the system in its full potential, not speakers that require a certain thing in order to sound their best, but really an open window to what's being fed.
Or different possibilities.
Yeah.
So,
and variety is the spice of life, right? That's why we go to these audio shows, so you can hear everything.
See and hear different things.
So here we are.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and mention the cabling too. You've got,
well, our good friends at AudioQuest really came in clutch for us, and they provided a really unique but very large loom of Firebird. This entire thing is actually, this might be Thunderbird. Sorry, it's Thunderbird. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's lovely. And we also have a Niagara 5000 powering our sources, which we'll get to in a moment. But so we are bi-amping, and we're using their bass speaker cables, and we're using their Zero Tech, full range cables for the top MTM.
Yeah. All right, let's talk sources. So we've got. Yes, a very elegant Bergmann turntable here. And which model is this one?
This is the Galder and Odin Signature.
Yeah, and it's decoupled, isolated parts here. The belt, single belt drive mechanism, and it's got vacuum features, both top and bottom.
It's got a quiet third piece just down here, and you'd never really notice if you didn't know what to look for. But it's both a pump and a vacuum.
Yeah, and the vacuum to flatten the record.
Bring the record
get a good seal
down
to
and
good flatness,
give it a good
secure. Solidity, and then the air bearing beneath.
Beneath the platter. So that big heavy platter is lifted up by the same pump that's actually acting as a vacuum as well. The tone arm is actually floating as well thanks to that.
Yeah, and the linear tracking tone arm. And and is this all sold as a complete system with the vacuum?
Yes, you always get you get the vacuum.
Excellent, and the linear tracker is standard with this. Can you use other tone arms with this model, or is that not recommended?
Yes, it's got positions for other arm boards, and
okay.
I'm sure there's a limit based on the design of absolute tone arm length, but that's what's new. That's true with every table, basically.
Good stuff. Yeah, and then you've got an airtight Opus 1 cartridge on there.
Yes, quite low output. Yes,
so step up transformer in play.
Yep.
We've got some brand new components, including one.
That's right.
Western Electric.
Yeah, so the preamplifier is 95A. That comes with its own phono pre, which actually sounds delightful. We were listening to that as well.
Nice.
But we took this opportunity to represent and show for Western Electric an upcoming new phono preamplifier from them.
Yeah.
You can see the models on the thing there. It's a
two rectifier, right? That one, the two chassis isolation, and the 95A is a prototype, but will be in market very soon.
Yeah, really, really good. And so there's 2 more 300Bs in here. So total, we're at 34 300Bs to power this whole system. Very cool.
Yeah.
But it's also got low noise 12 AU7s as the input tubes and low mu, and they're really doing tube
everything
stuff, right? We really love what it is.
Keep that noise and good control of current and everything. So
yes, keep
voltages.
Things reasonable.
Yeah.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah,
well, thanks.
Fun.
Yeah.
I should also mention.
Yeah. And
our
next we've
digital
got
rig.
digital, right?
Yes.
And then we've got like classic, and then
Right.
state of the art, right? This is
absolutely
the
state of the
Taiko.
art. Yes.
Taiko audio. What's the model of this? It's
so this is the Olympus and Olympus IO. Actually, this is the first time it's been shown in the U.S. We're really thrilled to be part of this debut. It's an interesting paradigm. I'll try to make it simple, but essentially the Olympus is a really state-of-the-art all-in-one. It's battery-powered, and it's so high resolution. Actually, the quality of power cord that you use to charge the batteries makes a difference in the way that it sounds. Honestly, it's really remarkable. So it's a whole makeup. It's based around high-speed computing, and there's a lot of bespoke parts in here. But if you just try to lift this thing, it's almost impossible. It's 120 pounds for the Olympus, right?
Yeah, very solid. Yeah, Olympus seems appropriate, and
typical to our audiophile passion. If we want to do something the best it can possibly do, what do? We separate it out and
discrete parts.
Give it some space and give it the things it wants, right? So this has space where you can add DAC cards, and their DAC card is exceptional. It actually competes really well with the top of the line in this country right now. But for even better sound, we're introducing the IO. So the IO is the newest part of this whole system, but the IO has room for a DAC as well. So that's actually, this whole thing is our server, streamer, and DAC.
Okay, and this IO input output.
You're right. It's clever.
And the DAC you mentioned is a fully customized. Initially one that exists, but
exceptionally high performance. It's been blowing us away.
And another server storage, network storage,
server storage, network storage. These are just set it and forget it, just bulletproof, just a wonderful. Once you understand the battery charging, they've got an app just to monitor the battery cells, because it's a really intelligent way that they manage the battery for the lowest noise and the best audio. But also with the IO, the connecting between them is done with a process called XDMI, a protocol. So they're one of these state-of-the-art companies coming up with their own digital audio protocol. This one is 2,000 times less latency, so much faster and more accurate than USB. They call it XDMI, and it's amazing. The proof is in the pudding. The sound is just ridiculous. And then at the bottom are very important pieces as well. On the left, we've got a switch. On the right, we've got a DC conditioner for both of them, and then behind that is a linear power supply for the DC conditioner for the switch of the router. Altogether, 6 chassis, probably altogether 200 plus pounds. These are just immovable. They're solid chunks of copper that have been routed out in the circuitries in there. And so, and then of course, because this is so high resolution and so accurate, adding these hi-fi stay footers, which use bearings and cups and all kinds of different access points to really vibrationally isolate at a low resonance. That made one of the biggest differences that we made to the room when we were setting it up. It was just lovely. So
and I'm sure like leveling and things like that.
It
allows for.
Actually, digital equipment is very sensitive to vibration. It's sensitive to EMI. It's sensitive to a lot of things, RFI. But vibration, definitely. And so when you are able to float your entire network rig, it really makes a big difference. I would try it. Anybody that's out there kind of wondering, float your switch, float your server, see what happens.
And the battery too, that reduction of further electrical noise or
completely.
Anything else is
we're at a hotel.
This little tiny thing, right.
We're trying to turn wall power into beautiful music. And so the battery helps. And
the data transmission, that part was really interesting too, like how precise to avoid any interference with that digital data.
Absolutely. Everything Taiko does is absolute state of the art. It really mirrors what we're doing as well at YG. It's just everything matters. If there's a hard way to do it, but it's a better way, that's how they're going to do it. So we're thrilled to partner with them.
Great. Well, thanks so much.
Got it. Thank you.